Places, everyone. 30 seconds to air. Ready, camera one. 15 seconds to air. Ready, mics. 5.
Happy Halloween and welcome to Studio 22. I'm your host, Oshaka Robinson, and today we have two special guests, Maddama and Edgars Boitmanis. They are rowers here at OCU, and they're here to teach us how to erg, tell us a little bit more about rowing, and fulfill us about what their future plans are, whether they want to go to the Olympics or what they plan on doing with rowing. Stay tuned, and when we come back,
OCU is smart, fun, cute, driven, so busy, expressive, exciting. But you know this, you go here. OCU is my school.
Chet is a 21-year-old college student. Luther is an 11-year-old fifth grader. Chet likes to play frisbee. Luther prefers video games. Chet likes to eat an apple for breakfast. Luther likes to eat sugary cereal. Chet has a girlfriend. Luther thinks girls have cooties. Chet is Luther's big brother. Hundreds of kids are waiting on you to become their big brother or big sister. Contact Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oklahoma today to learn how you can make a difference.
A career shouldn't be a job, it should be a passion. Oklahoma City University Mass Communications Department can be the piece to finding your passion, whether it be advertising, public relations, print, broadcast, or earn a graphic design minor. Professors teach you the skills you need to work in whatever industry you choose. OCU Mass Communications, the puzzle piece to your future.
hello and welcome back to Studio 22. We have our guest here, Maddama and Edgars Boitmanis. Well, where are you guys from, and what made you start rowing, Matt?
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I started rowing at the end of my 8th grade year because my sister had started rowing, and the coaches thought that maybe the rowing genes would follow in the family. So the coach dragged me in one day and sat me down on the erg, which I'll try to teach you how to do that later. But it all kind of stemmed from my sister, so I think that's where I really got the hang of it, and she taught me a little more of how to do it, and that's where my rowing career took off.
What about you, Edgars?
Well, I'm from a small northeastern European country called Latvia, and I started rowing because my dad was a rowing coach and my mom was a kayaking coach. So I've been always around. Often they took me to their work with me to practices. I was often in the coach's lounge. So I've kind of been involved since my childhood in that. And then when I was at the age of 13, I decided to start in rowing, and that was an early age to start in rowing, and that's how I got into it.
All right. How did you guys get to OCU? We'll start with you, Edgars.
Well, since I started so early, I was able to become a good rower at the junior age. And then when I was in high school, I'd always thought about United States as a great place to be. And then I found out that there's this university system, college rowing here in the United States, that you can go here and be like a varsity sport. That all excited me. So one day I just went on. I think I was in 11th grade. I went on Google, looked for all the colleges that have varsity teams on. I found coaches' emails. I sent them all an email with explaining about who I am, what are my accomplishments. And a lot of coaches started to talk with me, and Oklahoma City University just had they had the best to offer. They had this amazing boathouse. They had a sculling program, and it just everything worked out here, and that's how I ended up here.
Wow. What about you, Matt?
Well, I mean, I had offers from a lot of different schools, and from being in the U.S., I don't think I had to go through quite as much as Edgar, but I went through the same application process, and I talked to coaches and admissions, and I took the SATs like every student. But what held me back from some of my top choices, which would have been the Ivy Leagues, known for their rowing, since it's one of the original varsity sports, that it kind of drove me away because I didn't quite have what they were looking for academically. Not that I'm a bad student, but I was just a better athlete, and so that's what brought me to Oklahoma City University for their rowing program, and one of the only in the country that has a full-time sculling program, and like Edgar said, the amazing boathouse. I mean, you can't top it. So
That's cool. Have you guys ever played any other sports?
I used to play basketball, but that was way back in the day, probably middle school, when I was a little above average in height. But then come junior high, people started to surpass me in height, and then it just wasn't as fun because I was so short. But, I mean, only being 5'11" right now, I mean, it's not too shabby, but not quite for the sport of basketball anymore.
I wasn't really doing any sports before I started rowing. So I was really unathletic before that, and that kind of explains now why only rowing is the only sport I'm good at right now. So you will not see me on a basketball court or like playing soccer. So.
All right. Is being a student, a full-time student, and a varsity athlete very difficult?
I would say it depends on the person, and maybe even the sport. But as we know of being a rower, I think that being a student athlete, in terms of rowing and school, is probably one of the best things we could possibly do, because rowing really sets you up to be a good student. So I think we're better people because of it, and it may have seemed hard in the beginning, but I think we've all caught on, and we've learned the challenges.
It's being a student athlete. It's definitely a challenge, but me and Matt, we love challenges. We just take them on. So I think it's every day. Every day is a challenge. We have to like be very organized because we have really little time to spare. So, and all this hard work, all this routine, and all this like being organized really helps us, and I think will let us to become a good workers when we good employees when we finish rowing, and I think it's a challenge, but it's a good thing for us.
All right. Do you guys ever plan on going to the Olympics or making your career go any farther?
I mean, that's a pretty far-fetched question, especially 4 years prior to the Olympics, 2016 in Rio. But I have aspirations of going. It's just a question of how I'll develop in the next 4 years, and staying healthy and on top of my academics is probably most important to me right now. So I'll let you know in 4 years.
All right.
Well, I think everyone who is in the rowing has at some point has dreamed about being in the Olympics, because it's really the pinnacle of our sport, and it's also a dream for me, and that's also like the dream I think about of like basically every day, every practice. I think in next Olympics, next Olympic qualification, that's a really goal that I have in my head, and I hope everything will work out for that in regards with what I'm going to do after college, and that I will have time to row, because to get to the Olympics, it requires a lot of work and a lot of commitment, and you have to make a lot of sacrifices. And I hope I will have the energy, power, and everything will work out for me to commit to that and to do those sacrifices.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to learn how to erg, and the erg is a machine they use that will hopefully take them to the Olympics, and we'll teach you how to do that when we get back.
There are plenty of teams in every sport that have great players and never win titles. Most of the time, those players aren't willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. One thing I believe to the fullest is that if you think and achieve as a team, the individual accolades will take care of themselves. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships.
You're watching OCU TV.
I don't work a 9 to 5, but I have a job to do. I don't wear a tie, but I still wear a suit in my court.
My field of work isn't average, and my time around the water cooler is limited.
I work overtime, but the payoff is worth it.
I don't work a 9 to 5, but I have a job to do. I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
How many times did you forget to white balance? How many times was your iris too low? How many times did you look at the wrong camera? How many times did you forget your tripod?
Texas wants to leave.
How many times did you forget your words?
I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm quitting.
How many times was your finger in the way? How many times were you out of focus? Like athletes, we learn from our mistakes.
Sorry, do that again.
Join us next time.
Yet we know practice makes perfect.
And we'll see you next time.
You're watching OCU TV.
Hello and welcome back to Studio 22. Right now we're about to learn how to erg from Matthew Maddama and Edgars Boitmanis. What we have today is an erg in here. Well, Matt, you want to take it away?
Sure, love to. So, like Chuck said, this is our erg. It's basically the best way to train on land. Without the water, without the hassle of the cold or the wet weather, whatever. So this is the best way to train on land, and So basically it simulates down to the T what we do in the boat. So we have the handle, the slides that with the rolling seat that he's sitting on, and the screen here, but we'll get into that a little later. So there's 4 basic parts to the rowing stroke. There's the catch, which is where he's at right now. There's the drive, which is with the legs, the swing of the back, and then the pull in with the arms. And then that's the finish, where he finishes with the arms. Then you have the recovery. So it's the reverse going back up to the catch, arms away, body forward, and then legs up, and he's back at the catch. So we started with the catch, the drive, the finish, and now the recovery. And it's basically that process over and over and over again.
How can you tell? Like, how does this help a rower? Like, what muscles does it work?
Well, rowing is one of those unique sports that will work every muscle in your body, or almost every muscle. If you're using your jaw muscle, you're talking too much, but that's a different point.
If you're gonna do it just like for an hour, your body, every muscle in your body will hurt. Guaranteed. Yeah.
All right. How do you tell like how you're doing? Like, what do you read on the screen?
Okay, so as we see here, there's quite a number of different numbers here. This first one in the middle is your split, or basically your speed. So right now it says 2:37. So that means it would take Edgar here 2 minutes and 37 seconds to complete 500 meters. So now, since rowing is such a big sport, we go by the metric system since it's international here.
That's the way I prefer it.
So basically the faster you get your split, the lower the number. So Edgar here, being such a elite athlete, typically for 500 meters, he should be able to get it down, if he were going all out, to about 110, 115.
Wow. Yeah.
But me, on the other hand, being a lightweight, I could probably get it down close to 120 on a good day.
Yeah, and definitely when you're erging, the heavyweight athletes, they have an advantage because they hang on the stroke. So therefore, sometimes we also do a weight-adjusted times. But that's just to keep in mind that.
Yeah, one of the big things in rowing is power to weight ratio. So erging here is the best way for a larger athlete, such as Edgar, weighing close to 200 pounds, to be most effective. Whereas myself, being lighter with less muscle mass, I can be more effective in the boat because I weigh less, but I can produce more power because I'm lighter. So another number that we have here is meters. So it'll count down the number of meters, whether you're doing a distance piece or you also have time on here, so you can do timed pieces. And one of the most important numbers on here is what you see right here, the 36, and that's your strokes per minute. So basically, however many strokes he takes in a minute is what that number is going to be. Typically at the Olympic level, the Olympic level is 2,000 meters. So Olympics is a 2,000 meter race course, and most Olympic athletes will race at around a 36, 38 all the way down the course. So that's pretty fast.
Okay.
So 36 to 38 strokes a minute it'll wear you out.
What other exercises do rowers use to become better at rowing besides this erg machine or being on the water?
Well, a lot of people have their preferences, but I know some of the biggest ones are cycling and running. They may not use all of your muscles at one time, but it gets your cardio going. And I think cardio is one of the biggest things in rowing. Maybe not muscle mass, but definitely getting your heart going and just being able to have that endurance to go the whole way.
And also the weight training is really important in rowing because rowing is a strength endurance sport. So strength is really a really important aspect of it. So we have 3 practices a week when we do just strength training, and mostly the main muscle in rowing is actually legs. because it does 70% of the work. And so the stronger, the more you can squat with, the stronger rower you usually are. So that's kind of golden rule in rowing.
Would you guys prefer actually being on water or being on an erg?
Definitely on water.
Definitely on water, yes.
Okay. And at the boathouse, there's a, what is that machine called where it simulates actually being in the water? What is that?
Rowing tank?
Yeah, the rowing tank.
Yeah, the rowing tank. We have in our Devon boathouse, we have the only dynamic rowing tank in the world. It means that because the water is also moving, there's a pumps. It's really helpful to work on rowing technique because this is just trains your strength, and the technique is kind of a little sacrificed when you are on the erg. So the rowing tank enables to work on technique, or your rowing technique, the way your stroke works, and that's really important in rowing because it separates good rowers from bad rowers. Is really the technical issues.
So it's the only one, like there's no other one in the world?
With where the water is also moving, yeah, we have the only one.
Well, that's pretty nice. Yeah. Well, thank you for teaching us how to erg today. When we come back, we're going to have we're just going to get to know Edgars and Matt a little bit better. We're going to know what they plan on doing, how they plan on doing at the regatta this coming weekend, and how they think the head of the Oklahoma went when we come back.
No!
Just what do you think you are doing, Dave? I really think I'm entitled to an answer to that question. I can see you're really upset about this. I know I've made some very poor decisions recently, but I can give you my complete assurance that my work will be back to normal. Dave, stop, will you? Will you stop, Dave?
My name is Eric.
Hello and welcome back. We just learned how to erg from Matt and Edgars. Now we are going to talk about what it's like to compete against schools like Harvard and Princeton, all those other Ivy League schools. How do you guys feel when you're regattas? Is it intimidating at all, or how do you guys feel whenever you see a Harvard boat next to you?
I think it's extremely intimidating to go against a school that has so much depth and so much history. Especially Harvard being the first Ivy League to have a varsity rowing team. So, yeah, I would say very intimidating.
Are you ever intimidated, Edgars?
Well, I don't know if I was as much as intimidated as Matt was, but it's definitely a little like lifts up your butterflies in the stomach before the race, because they have a lot of history, while OCU is only 12-year-old program. And the way we have achieved in those past 12 years, being able to be there and raise them and like be close to them, and I think it's gonna happen. In I don't know in how many years, but we will able to beat some of the Ivy League schools. I'm very confident in that, and I think we have a really good team built up, and it's gonna advance, and we'll be able to get at that level.
All right. You guys recently, just the both of you and only coaches, went to Boston. You guys competed against some of the top Olympians, correct? How was that? Like you placed 5th and you were 15th, correct? How is it for you, Matt?
I placed 4th.
Oh, 4th. My bad.
It's all good.
I thought it was.
It's the best performance I've had at the head of the Charles, especially going against the elite athletes that I did. There were some older Olympic athletes, so I can't boast about that as much as Edgar can, especially racing the current Olympic champion in the single. But I was pleased with it, and that was some of the best weather we've had up there in probably the history of the head of the Charles. So I think we had a great year to go and had some great results.
How was it for you competing against the best athletes?
Matt was racing in the lightweight single event, but I was racing in the men's championship single. And head of the Charles is this huge regatta with 9,000 athletes participating. It's the world's largest regatta, and this brought a lot of attention from the I apologize for that. That's my alarm when I set it up to have a nap. So this was my usual nap time. We rowers do love to take a nap. So yeah, and there was current Olympic champion from London, Mayhay Drysdale from New Zealand. He placed only 9th in this event, but that's due to the fact that he hasn't been rowing since the Olympics for the past month. And I was only 8 seconds behind him, so I'm really proud of that. There was Larcy Carnan who was fourth at the Olympics, and there was basically like 10 or 11 Olympians. And in this company, I placed 15, and I'm really proud. I think I should be glad about to be in such a company.
Showing,
Yeah.
For his first showing, I think he did well. Yeah.
That's pretty nice. So you guys are pretty blessed to be able to train here at such a nice facility. How do you think the head of the Oklahoma went?
Well, it went well considering it was raining all weekend. But this isn't one that we really look for results. This is to have results just as a baseline for the rest of the season. With it being our home regatta, I mean, we do expect to do well, our home course and all, and our boathouse that we get to show off to everyone. But I think it's more about just determining a baseline for the depth that we've just increased because of all the freshmen coming in, and they've never raced at a collegiate level before. But with that said, I think it went well, and we did have some good results, and I think we're built better now, and going into head of the hooch this coming weekend, I think we could have some even better results.
Yeah, definitely, or especially our 8 has developed a lot. If like 3 years ago at the 500 meter sprints at this head of Oklahoma regatta, we lost Harvard to like 4 seconds. So it's kind of, for the 500 meters, it's a large difference. But this year, we lost to them just 0.4 seconds. So I think we're really close there, and I think it just shows that we are really close to that level, Ivy League level schools.
How do you guys think the regatta you're about to go to this weekend, head of the hooch, is going to go?
Well, it's hard to speculate, but I think we have high hopes of coming home with some hardware. Whatever the color, I think we'd still be happy, but I think it's...
Yeah, and we face a really like top level schools there. There will be University of Virginia, which is one of the fastest crews in the nation. And we have Georgia Tech, which we lost just two seconds last year, and we look forward to winning this year.
Well, that's.
And I think I think it will be good competition.
That's great. Thank you guys for being on the show today. We are out of time, but I'd like to thank my guests, Maddama and Edgars Boitmanis, and thank them for everything they've done